The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here on our year-end procedures webinar. I'm looking forward to doing this with you guys today. We've got a great crowd here. I guess it must be the end of the school year. Yeah, looking forward to that, aren't you? Everybody's breathing a sigh of like, yeah, I can make it, I can do it. Well, we're going to try to help you with that process a little bit in our own tiny little small way with this year-end procedures webinar. So let's jump in and get started. My name is Sean Jensen. I am a professional learning specialist here with Odysseyware. I've been here for about 7.5 years, in online education for about 10. I'm the one with the most facial hair, in case you were wondering, okay? So there you go. So I'm looking forward to being here with you today. Again, as we jump into year-end procedures and start talking about what we'll be doing here today, I want to be sure and I want to make sure that you are super comfortable asking questions, okay? So there is a questions panel over there on the right-hand side of your screen. If you see the go-to webinar panel, there is a questions window in there. So I will be monitoring that questions window during this session, making sure that your questions are answered, and we'll certainly do a big nice Q&A at the end as well to make sure we wrap up and mop up any other questions that come through, okay? So please feel free to use that at any time during the course of the session, okay? Questions window over there on the right-hand side. So let's talk about our objective today, what we're going to be accomplishing. It's very simple, okay? You're at the end of the school year. Been using Odysseyware, and some of you maybe have used it just this year. Some of you may have used it for just a few months. Some of you may have used it for 6 or 7 years. So at any case, at any rate, it's a great time to look at your site and start doing a bit of cleanup and preparation for the new school year. And that is what we're going to be doing here, or summer school. All right, some of you are going to be getting started with summer school. So we are going to help you prepare your site for future use, whatever that future use is and whenever that future use happens, okay? So to do that, we're going to be using a document that looks exactly like this called the year-end procedures, okay? And I'm going to actually have this on our screen during the course of the session here today. That way you'll have access to it. You'll be able to see it. And as we do each of the steps, and then at the end of the session here today, I'm going to exactly where you can get it, okay? That way you can follow those steps on your own in your schools, okay? So with that being said, we're going to jump right on into it because, hey, we got things to do and students to teach and all that good stuff. So let's jump in. So with that said, we're going to jump in. I'm going to log into Odysseyware, okay? I'm going to pull up our year-end procedures doc. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of keep them side by side here during the course of the session. We'll kind of walk through each of the individual steps together, okay? Now, very first thing I need everyone to know is that to do the year-end procedures, you must be an admin in the site, in your site, okay? So a really easy way to tell if you're an admin, if you're looking in your site, if you see a school settings tab, you're an admin, okay? If you don't see that tab, you're not an admin, okay? And someone else at your school or district is, okay? So to do everything that I'm going to show you how to do today, you must be an admin in the site, okay? So we're going to go ahead and just start with this year-end procedures guidelines here, okay? So we're going to start with the first step here, reports tab, activity reports. So in Odysseyware, I'm going to go directly to the reports tab right over here on the far right, right there, ding, ding, okay? And I'm going to click on the Activity Reports tab. Okay? So the first step in our year-end procedures is to generate a faculty progress report. Okay? So faculty progress is going to allow us to see any of the open actions that are currently on our teachers' to-do lists. Okay? Let's take a look at what that looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and select faculty progress. Okay? And I'm going to select a time frame. I'm just going to go ahead and do a time frame of the whole school year, okay? So I want to capture everything we need to capture. So I'm going to start from September 1st. That's when my school year started, until today. All right? Now I need to select my users. First thing I'm going to do real quick here is I'm going to change my status here. I want to look at just simply all of my active teachers, right? All the people who are actively working in the program, have students assigned to them. That's who I'm looking for. So I'm going to change that status, as you just saw, to active. That will filter my list to only my active teachers. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and select all my teachers by clicking that little toggle all checkbox right there. So now I've got all my teachers selected. Next thing I've got to do is to generate this report. Now, for the reports I'm going to show you during this session here today, I'm going to strongly recommend you pull them in an Excel spreadsheet, because that will allow you to do a little bit of sorting and kind of look at that data in a kind of a linear way. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select CSV. That'll open that up in Excel for me. Here we go. All right. So I now have my faculty progress report for all my teachers. The very first column I'm going to take a look at is this guy right here, column C, which is the status column. I want to see who is current and who's not. And the ones I'm really want to take a look at is anything that says not current. Okay? All these guys down here, they're in great shape. There are no pending notifications. There are no actions on their to-do list. However, this group up here, I've got some actions. Okay? So the next thing I'm going to take a look at is this column, column G here, which is the request type. This is going to show you the specific type of action that is showing up on those teachers' to-do lists. Now, if I'm at the end of the school year, the ones I'm really concerned about are the manual grading, because that tells me that there are submissions, assignment submissions that are on the teacher's to-do list that they haven't yet graded. So students' grades aren't done yet. Okay, so obviously as we get to the end of the school year, we need to make sure that those grades have been taken care of. So if you see anything that says manual grading, you definitely want to get back to that teacher and make sure that they're on track to do that grading. Okay, and you'll see there are a number of other request types. Again, the ultimate goal is that we've cleared everything out so that everything is current. So you want to get in touch with those teachers and make sure they complete those actions. All right. Okay, that was easy, right? That was the first thing, is faculty progress. I'm going to go ahead and close that report. Actually, I'm just going to do this, just minimize it. There we go. Next report it's asking us to do is to create a course percentage complete report. So here's the deal. Now we need to go in and see which courses are done, or which courses have little to no activity. Let's go take a look at that activity, what that looks like. Okay, so we're going to pull a course percentage complete report. So I'm going to start over here on the left, click course percentage complete, and I'm going to first of all select a time frame. Now, your school, your district may have specific time frames, specifically terms that they have already set up, and you can select one of your existing terms to generate the report for. That's actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and just select my 2017 to 18 school year. So I've got my full school year term that I'm going to generate this report for. Okay. Now, as I scroll down the page a little bit, now that I've selected my time frame for the report, I need to select my users. But right now, this is showing me all of my users, right? In fact, if you look at the status column, I've got some archived users in there, active ones, and further on down, I might have some on hold ones. So what I need to do is actually change the status here and filter it down to just the actives, okay? I want to pull a report that shows me all the active courses and where they're at, what the percentage complete is. Okay, so once I've selected and filtered that list of the active students, I'm going to go ahead and select, do my toggle all again, select all my students. Then I'm going to click the Show Refresh button. That will pull all of the course enrollments that are attached to those students that we just took a look at. And I'm going to go ahead and just select all. Okay, so we've selected a time frame, we've selected our active students, and now we've selected our active course enrollments. And now we can generate our report. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, again, CSV. And here we go. Make that just a little bit bigger. There we go. All right. So again, what I'm looking at this time around, what I'm really looking for is the course completed percentage, right? Here we go. I've got a whole lot of zeros. I've got some inactive students in my demo account. I should probably help them get more active. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to sort this column. I want to kind of see the range here that we've got. So I'm going to go ahead and sort this from largest to smallest. Really what we're looking at is we want to find, first of all, the 100%. Now, I don't have any 100%. Hopefully you have a lot of them, okay? But you're looking for the 100%. Course completed at 100%, hey, that's a course you can archive, okay, which is what we're going to be doing next. If you've got other courses that are almost completed, again, remember those the actions list that we just looked at a few moments ago, that might be affecting that. So you want to make sure that you're showing those active courses. As I scroll down here, the other thing you may be looking at is these guys down here. I've got a bunch of zeros down here, or really low percentages of completion, right? Those courses may also be candidates for archiving. So again, you're generating this report simply to get a feel for the percentage complete in those courses across the board and making a decision as to which courses are going to get archived and which ones are going to stay. And that's what we're going to do next. Okay. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and minimize that report. I know we're going through this very quickly, so remember, if you have questions, feel free to type those into the chat. Okay, so we have now done everything we need to do in the Reports tab. We're going to now move on to the next step, which is the Course Enrollments tab. I'm going to go up to the top here, go to the Course Enrollments. And our task here now on the Course Enrollment tab is really just to find those courses that we just saw that need to be archived and to archive them. Now, there's lots of different ways that we can go about finding what we need to archive. I can certainly go student at a time. For example, if I was looking for Jean Gray here and all the courses that she's enrolled in, I could just type her name in that field, click search, pull up her courses, and then I could go ahead and archive those the course or courses that I needed to archive. I could also view it by course. I could simply, if I'm looking for everyone in, say, Earth Science, and let's see, let me go to my Earth Science course here. And I could then view by course everyone who's in Earth Science, and then I could archive actually multiple students all at once within one course. Okay, so it really is going to depend on how many course enrollments you really need to archive for how many students. Okay, at any rate, once you are able to pull up the course or courses that you need to archive, all you need to do is select the course, right? And I'm doing this again by course, so I can select multiple students and do this all at once. And then I'm going to click the Archive button. There it is, right there. And then I need to select a reason. Now, this is really, really important. You want to make sure you select the correct reason when you archive. The reason for that, the reason for selecting the right reason, is for reporting purposes. Down the road, you'll be able to generate report data as you need for completions, incompletions, drops, or voids. So in any one of those can be we can generate a report for. Okay, so let's say this student was done and they had completed their work, they had 100% on their course percentage complete, and we just need to archive this course. I'm going to hit complete, I'm going to click archive, and that course will then be, those courses will then be archived from those students. Just like that. You'll get the message, archive successfully. I'll click OK, and that will do it for the Course Enrollments tab. Pretty easy, right? So I'm going to go through that Course Enrollment tab, and I'm going to find all those courses that need to be archived and follow that process we just went over. Okay? So now that we have all the course enrollments archived, our next step is to go archive students who don't need to be there in the system anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my Students tab, right up here. And the first thing I'm really going to look at is graduated students, right? Students are no longer with us. So I can go through this list and I can find those students one at a time here and check their name, or check the box next to their names, just like that. Okay? And once I've found all of my graduating students, I'm going to go up here to the Actions box, right up here, and I'm going to select Archived. Now, when I go to then I'll go ahead and click the apply button. That will archive those students. There isn't a reason code specifically for user accounts. We're just simply going to archive those users. Okay, so again, only do that for students who are graduated. Okay, so once you've taken care of your graduated students, the next thing you can do, and now this is something that may be optional, that may be something that would be useful for you, so I'm going to explain why we're going to do the next step, which is to place all other students on hold. So I'd select everybody else, change this to on hold, and click apply. Now, why in the world would I do such a thing, right? Well, I'm at the end of the school year, no one's working in the program at this point. I'm going to go ahead and mark everyone else who's not graduated on hold. Guess what I have now? I have a brand new clean database with nobody in it. Yay, it's super clean and nice and tidy. My wife would love it. Okay? Well, as you get to the beginning of the new school year, this gives you an opportunity to be selective about who gets added back in as an active student. Okay? That way you just bring in the active students. And it's really easy to do that. All you have to do is get back to this screen, change the status here to on hold, and you'll be able to pull up all of your on hold students and then select whoever needs to be reactivated, mark them as active, and click apply. So that way you can be, again, very selective about who gets added back into the system. So you start the school year with a brand new, clean group of active students. Okay? All right. That is the Students tab, and we are just rocking and rolling through this thing. Okay? Next tab is going to be pretty similar. Okay? Next thing we need to look at is teachers and admins. Is there anybody? I'm going to go to the Teacher Admin tab here, right up at the top. If there are any teachers or admins who have retired, or who have left the school, or who will no longer be associated or work with the Odysseyware program at your school or district, probably a good idea to clean them out of the database. Okay. Now, to do that for admins and teachers, it is a little bit different than we did for students. Remember, we had that button over here that allows us to do that in bulk. For teachers and admins, we do have to do that one at a time. Probably not too scary because you probably don't have your whole staff retiring, hopefully. Okay. So you're just going to find the teacher who's going to be leaving or no longer associated with Odysseyware. On the right-hand side under the controls column, you'll click Edit. Okay, select Edit, and then at the top, you'll just change their status to Archived. Okay, and that will do exactly the same thing as we did for students, is that we'll archive that teacher. Okay, now, quick note. If you archive a teacher because they retired, and then, like a lot of teachers I know, they unretire themselves and actually end up coming back. Well, the good news is you can unarchive a user as long as they are within the grace period involved that you have selected. I'll show you that grace period in just a few moments. But as long as they're within that grace period, you can actually unarchive their account. You can just come back and change them to active, and that way they'd be able to pick up right where they left off with their exact same username and password. Okay? So we'll talk about that one in just a few moments. So the next step is to go to the Teacher Admin tab and archive any teachers who will no longer be working with Odysseyware. Okay? All right, here we go. School Settings tab is next. So now that we've cleared out all of the clutter from our site, now we're going to jump into our School Settings tab and start setting things up for the new school year. So I'm going to jump over, first of all, to the Calendar tab. Excuse me, to the Terms tab. Okay? On the Terms tab, what you want to do is go through your terms and determine if there's anything there that doesn't need to be there. For example, I've got my 2017-2018 school year term that's still there. Now, once I've archived all the course enrollments that use that term, I will then be able to delete that term. Okay? And same thing with my semester 1 term and my semester 2 term. So I'm going to clear out my old terms. Don't need them anymore. They're no longer useful. Okay? And then I'm going to create my new terms. So I've got, for example, a 2018 summer school term. I've got my 2018-2019 school year term. I could certainly do 2018-19 S1 for my first semester. And you're going to go ahead and set up those specific terms. Okay? Now, hopefully your district calendar is all set up and ready to go, and then it's all perfectly accurate. You're going to use that to jump over to the calendar tab. On the calendar tab, you're going to go through with your district calendar or school calendar and just simply mark off the days that you don't have school. So teacher comp days, preparation days, holidays, breaks, etc. Just make sure you have all of those listed as no school days. Again, just as a reminder, what that does, it makes it so that the student will not have work assigned to be due on those days. It, of course, doesn't prevent them from actually working on those days. Okay, so you'll go through and just simply click on the days that need to be marked as no school days, and when you go back to your terms again, you'll notice that the term dates will have adjusted according to that calendar, and that will set you up for your brand new school year. Okay, so terms and calendar. Once you have your terms and your calendar all set up, the last thing to really do within the school settings area is to review the various tools in the school settings. Make sure all the settings are right. Okay, you can come in and change the welcome message and the message of the day for the new school year. Jump into the grading, pacing, and assessments. This is a great activity to do together as an administrative team, to look through those settings, talk to the teachers who've been using Odysseyware with the students over the course of the year, and make decisions. Are these the right settings? Did these work this year? Are there any adjustments that need to be made to the CRX passing threshold or the lesson pass threshold, the number of attempts, okay? Monitored assessments, the weighting. Are there any adjustments that need to be made here? Okay. Same thing on the permissions tab. Jump over to the permissions tab and make sure that all the permissions are showing accurate and are what they need to be. Are there any adjustments they need to make here? Make those adjustments for the new school year. Again, make sure everyone's involved who needs to be involved in that decision-making process, but that way you can start off the school the right way and really kind of look at what's taken place over the past year. Okay? So make sure you look at those school settings. You've gone through everything together as an administrative team. Make sure everything is the way it needs to be, and that will wrap up our school settings tab. We're just about done, folks. Here we go. So second to last thing we're going to do is go over to our courses tab. Now, if you're a school who has dipped heavily into course customization, I applaud you. It's me applauding for you right there. Course customization, awesome tool. Now, as you create custom courses, sometimes there ends up being some clutter there too, right? You create courses and you end up using them, and then maybe you didn't like it that much, and maybe you're going to do something different next year, so you have this course that's just kind of floating around in there in your database and creating some clutter. So what you're going to do on the Courses tab is click on the Custom filter. Okay, and that will pull up all of the currently active custom courses in your system. And you can then go through each of those courses. You can preview those courses with a little eyeball icon, right? And you can archive those. A little file box over here on the right-hand side is what that will do. So if you see a course you don't need anymore, it doesn't need to be there, you click the archive. Of course, it'll warn you, are you sure you want to do that? Yes, I'm sure. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And that course has now been archived. Okay. Now, if you went, oh no, I actually needed that, right? No worries. You can find it again. You have the archive filter right there. Click archived, and you'll be able to go back in and you can reactivate that course by clicking the little plus sign to unarchive it. Okay. So you go to your courses tab, you take a look at your custom courses, and you archive any custom courses that no longer need to be there. That brings us full circle right on back to our reports tab in our year-end procedures guide. So here we go. We're going to go right back to reports and back to our activity reports. And this time we're going to pull a detailed student grading report. Now, many of you are very familiar with a detailed student grading report because it's your typical progress report. Now we're going to use it here to basically give us the final readout, the final data for those courses that we've archived. Okay, what did it look like when we hit that archive button? So I'm going to click detailed student grading. Again, I'm going to go ahead and pick my school year. Okay. And when I get to my users, I'm going to do something that may seem a little silly, but I'm going to select and focus on just my archived users. Now, why? Well, that's because we just archived them, right? So we need to find the data for those newly archived students. So I've selected my filter for archived. I'm actually going to generate this report twice, by the way. So I'm going to generate it for my archived students, and then I'll come back and generate it for my on hold students. Because remember, we marked everyone else on hold, right? And we still want to be able to see that data as well. So for right now, I'm going to leave that as archived. I'll select all those archived students. Again, show refresh to show me the course enrollments. Okay. And I'm going to leave the status as all. That will get us exactly what we need. And I'm going to go ahead and select all of those course enrollments. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead, and this one I could generate as a spreadsheet, or I could generate as a PDF. Again, it just depends on what you prefer for your filing, or just to kind of take a look at the data. But I'm going to go ahead and pull this one up as a PDF this time. And here's our report. Again, on the right-hand side now, you can see for each of those students, we get basically the final readout, what it looked like. Now, again, my students are not terribly active, so your reports will be a little bit lengthier than mine are. But these will show you exactly what the student did in the course of that course, what their ending score was for each unit and for the course as a whole. And that's what you would use to, again, do your final filing and grade reporting and so on. Okay. Woo! Wasn't that fun? Yeah. That was super easy, wasn't it? Walk through each of those individual steps. Okay. So I haven't seen any questions come through, but I want to go ahead and open that up to questions before we do a little bit of wrap up. I'm going to show you where you can get this year-end procedure. So here comes a question. Go to town, folks, in those questions, all right? Okay, Penny, good question. So do the dates continue to stay listed as choices in the reports tab, even if they're removed like you showed earlier? So what you're referring to is if I scroll up to the top and I've got my terms in here, right? Well, if I delete the terms, it will delete it from this list. However, Penny, check this out. Down here on the bottom, I can select whatever time frame I want. Okay, I can select a custom time frame. So if these terms are gone, but you still want to pull, data from this start and end date, you can totally do that in here as well. Okay. Yep. Awesome. Great question. Thank you. All right. Other questions? Again, feel free to type those. I know sometimes it takes a little time to have those questions kind of leak out of the brain and through the arms and out onto the keyboard, right? Totally get that. So keep going on those questions if you do. As you do that, I want to show you where you can actually access this document, okay? So on the bottom of the page in Odysseyware, when you're logged in, go ahead and click the help link. And of course, our technical support phone number is right there. Over on the left, you have the Browse Resources button right there. Click Browse Resources. Okay, that will take you to our knowledge base. Now, if this is the first time you've seen our knowledge base, please go there as soon as you can and mark that as a favorite in your browser. Bookmark the heck out of that page right there because you're going to want to use this a lot going forward. It's a fantastic resource. It contains all kinds of guides and tutorials and other resources for you as you work within the program, okay? So if I'm looking for year-end procedures, which is what we've been doing today, I'm just going to type in my search field, guess what? Yeah, year end procedures. Okay, and whoops. There we go. Year-end procedures, there it is. And once you click on that link right there, it'll take you to this document where you can save it and print it and hang it up on your fridge to show your kids, right? Look what I did, right? So that's how you access the year-end procedures, okay? Now, one last note before we wrap things up for today. I'm going to give you this hot tip. Okay, and we've gone over this year-end procedures document from the perspective of the admin. Right from the very beginning, we started with talking about taking a look at the open actions for your teachers, right? So it's a highly recommended strategy or protocol, if you will, to create year-end closeout procedures for your teachers. Okay, send that out ahead of time so they know what they should be doing. Specifically, the most important crucial thing is clearing out their actions, making sure all the grading is done, okay, making sure any help requests are taken care of, anything that needs to be unblocked or unlocked is done. You've taken care of all those from the teacher perspective, and then informed you so that you're ready to do this, what we've done here today, when it's time. So you may also choose to have the teachers submit a detailed student grading report for their students, to kind of be the accountability piece. Okay, that's done. Now I can go and do the year-end procedures. Okay, so that is my final hot tip for you today. I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions at this time. If you have no other questions, I hope this was super valuable for you. Again, you know where to find the year-end procedures. I will remain here online. If you have any other questions, you can feel free to type those into the chat window. I will be answering those. Otherwise, happy rest of your school year. Hope it's super successful. You have a great time and that you get to relax at least for a couple days during the summer. Okay? So thank you, everybody. We do like to know how we done on these sessions. So there is a link right there on your screen. Feel free to grab that link and then type it in your browser window. That'll allow you to give us some feedback on how we did on this session. So when it asks you who your trainer was, my name is Sean Jensen. Unless today was really horrible, then just pick someone else's name. No, I'm kidding. Okay, and when it asks you what type of training you participated in, you can just select other and type in year-end procedures in the list. Okay? All right, folks, thank you so much. Have a great week and school year and summer. Okay? I will remain here if you do have any other questions.